Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman, in for the hour, as they say, wrapping up a work week. Hope yours has been a great one, and we hope you have a great weekend this weekend. It should be fun. We're going to get a little taste of fall, finally, which I've noticed on all the weather reports here on KCMO. They're like begging for colder temperatures. It's like, where's the fall? We're going to go straight from summer to winter, folks. That's just the way it's going to work. We're going to go from 85 to 45. Watch how this works. That's just fine with me. We'll be here each and every day talking about all the good things going on in the world and some really strange things. And we know who's making those things happen, including the No Kings rallies that'll be going on in our area this weekend. That ought to be fun. I like the viral videos of those things where the MAGA people put their flags on their truck, and they have like mannequins of Trump in the back hanging onto like the roll bar. And they've got flowy hair as they drive down the road, the Trump hairs. And they go by and they honk and they wave their flags and they all scream at each other. It's fun to taunt these folks. Don't do anything physical, but it is fun to kind of drive by and have fun. There's a place, I don't know that it's official, but there's a place close to my house where anytime there's any kind of a left-wing demonstration, they gather near Lenexa City Center. So I'm guessing the Freakazoids will be out there on Saturday. I don't know that I'm going to drive by, but I might. I don't have the big Trump truck. That's really what you need. You need, it's great in Florida and places or like the Lake of the Ozarks. If they're doing this, people will just tow their boats behind and load the boats up with people in a cooler and have their flags flying and all their Trump signs. Good stuff. No kings. Yeah, the king has ended 8 wars this year. I mean, this is oppressive that we have a king and not a president anymore. This is just a terrible, terrible thing. Fine show today, including a move that the Democrats are going to make, or they're potentially making, that will blow up in their face. We'll tell you that in about 30 minutes. We got a lot to talk with Mark about today, including our picks every Friday, which have not been very good lately. Not very good. How many legs in your parlay earlier today?
There was 8.
Have you added up the yards of all the people that you took the over on?
I didn't take the over. I did like alt
legs,
so they're less than what they're supposed to.
We have Mahomes over 250.
250.
And you got like 3 or 4 receivers and runners on the over, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you add them all up, can there be that many yards?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Worthy 25 yards, Kelsey 25 yards. That's 50. Rashee Rice 50 yards. That's only 100 of the 250 Mahomes needs.
You would think somebody's going to get 90.
Yeah. Hopefully Rice.
You can't just take the number. How many footballs to go around? Should be fun. I don't underestimate Max Crosby, by the way, on Sunday. We'll talk a little Chiefs at the end. I know the Raiders aren't that good, but Max Crosby is a Mahomes game wrecker and has proven that time again, and he'll be going up against left tackle Jalen Moore, we believe, and not Josh Simmons. We start today with something that I thought was fake news. And yes, we professionals in the media get faked out by things as well. It is important, everyone in our business, that when we see something, we take a deep breath and double check it, no matter what you see. And I had one of those moments yesterday when I saw that Democrats were blocking funding to the military as a separate issue. Only 3 voted yes, which means they've got, I don't know the numbers here, 45 or so that are voting no to funding our military. At what point did something so dramatic happen in this country that it came to that as a standalone provision to fund the Pentagon and our military for a year, separate from everything else, and they vote no? I was like, are you sure? Because I hadn't really thought of the possibility of, they're going to try to do something separate from the military. I know they don't like the military like we like the military, but they say they do on the campaign trail. We support the troops. We're here at this air base. Every senator in their state has some sort of a military base of some sort and a contingent of folks that work in the military or the Pentagon or some sort of military-associated private company even, or public companies in their states. I don't understand this. So I started thinking about the fake news, and then I read, Jessica told me she likes the Travis Kelce podcast. And she said he was on there talking about how there's fake stuff about him all over. There's a fake story about Travis Kelce that he bought a $3.5 million house in Kansas City for the homeless. We've also been watching for a week now all these things pop up on your searches and screens and everywhere that Patrick Mahomes, if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, is going to boycott it because of Bad Bunny. There are people that believe this stuff. Now, we live in Kansas City, so I don't think we're likely to believe that Patrick Mahomes has made any sort of a comment that he's boycotting the Super Bowl. But we've talked a lot on this show, or I have anyway, about how much more educated voters are. Now, that doesn't mean as an electorate nationally we're really educated. We still see the man on the street interviews where the reporter goes out and asks a question, and there's just people that know absolutely nothing. And those people vote. So sometimes it's a popularity contest. It's like being back in 7th grade voting for student council. Who's the most popular boy or girl? They're likely to win the election. So there is a lot of that. But I do think with all the social media, with the iPhone, with the technology that people have, and it cuts across every category of what we talk about, gender, race, age, income, it doesn't matter. Low-income people get free iPhones. Everybody's got one, let's be honest. So information's at your fingertips. And I think that's a good thing. I think America's become more educated on these things, and I think that's part of the reason America's moving right again, because they see the lunacy of what the left is doing, like not funding our military. But I hear these prank things that are out there. The latest one is people are making AI videos of homeless people camping on your doorstep. They find videos of people who have like Ring cameras, and they've posted something online, social media, of something happened to a Ring camera, the UPS guy fell or whatever. And there's always a little shot where it's an empty shot before something happens. And they're taking that and they're creating AI of like your porch, and they're posting it like you've got a creeper at your house. I don't know why people do stuff like that, but it's everywhere. And I wonder how much, because Trump coined the term fake news, but it was for mainstream media. I wonder how much fake stuff out there people actually believe. Because we know there's a wide disparity in voter knowledge. Let's just put it that way. These things are really important to you and I. You listen to a news talk station, so these issues are very important. Voting and elections matter to you. How the country is run, how your community is run matters to you. I don't know that we can do anything about it, but I heard J.D. Vance say yesterday, he was doing an interview, and he said AI, artificial intelligence, is still in many cases very dumb. And that was a little bit alarming to me because there's this mad rush to AI. We're doing it with private companies. The stocks of the companies that are theoretically or hypothetically or whatever word you want to use are ahead in the AI race, their stocks are doing great. The companies that are behind, the stocks aren't doing as well. Trump has made a big deal of this, saying we're in a race with China on artificial intelligence. We have to be the leader and show the way, and we're investing all this money. And to hear J.D. Vance say AI is still very dumb, I assume he knows. He's a really smart guy, and he's at the highest levels. I've not heard anybody speak like that. But right now, artificial intelligence, it seems to me, is creating more havoc than it's doing any good. I could be wrong. I don't use a lot of it. I'm not a chat GPT guy. I don't really do it. I don't really care for it. Maybe I will someday. Maybe there's an application or something that comes along. I'm like, this is really great. I have a friend who tells me, and he's really into technology. He's really smart. He works for Oracle. And he says, Kevin, your podcast, if you came up with your 9 or 10 topics that you do on your podcast and just punched them in to Chat GPT, that will go back through your 1,000 podcast episodes and know every possible opinion you've ever had and can take those topics, recreate your voice, and spit the podcast out in like 30 seconds. You wouldn't have to work so hard at your podcast. And I said, well, what I do for a living, I like doing. I don't want a computer to do it for me. I know artists, musical artists, and actors are very concerned that all the music will be ripped off, that everything's going to be AI. We've seen the videos. They're very, very real of celebrities and people, and they're saying, the easy way to tell is they're saying something that you just, wow, that person would never say that. But it's incredible what's out there, and I wonder how much people believe. And I'm always trying to think of what the next big move is with the Democrats, because they will lie, cheat, steal, and scam their way to anything. They will impeach a president. They will arrest him. They will sue him. They will rile people up, calling him Hitler, to where they shoot him. They'll do anything to win except win the arena of ideas. They're not very good at that. So I wonder if AI is a giant push for Democrats so they can get out in front of this and fool everyone with fake stuff. Doesn't that sound like something they do and they'd really be working hard on? I don't know. But it scares me a little bit. I'm older than a lot of listeners in this audience, so maybe you're not as frightened by AI. The big technology, the things that always come along, we're initially scared until we're not. It's usually worrying about something that's never going to happen anyway. So I'm not terrified by AI, but there's a lot of fake stuff out there. And to have guys like Mahomes and Kelsey say they've been victims of this, I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that there are people, I promise you, there are all kinds of football people or people in this country that actually believe Patrick Mahomes is going to boycott the Super Bowl if the Chiefs get there because Bad Bunny's playing. And it's flat not true. But it's been everywhere for days and days and days. And if the Democrats start doing that with AI and faking everything about people on the right, could it be effective? Could that be their next big play? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. 913-408-7957 is the phone number to call if you'd like to join in that conversation or anything that's on your mind today. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call, 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.
Hey, it's Vince Colonnese. Catch my new show at 11 o'clock after Kevin Kietzman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Uncanceled. Great to have you with us today. We're going to the phone lines, and by virtue of her gender, Deb in Garden City is up first. Good morning, Deb. How are you today?
I'm pretty well. I just wanted, so I'm a retired civil engineering professor, so I'm not, but I'm an MIT grad, and I'm old enough to remember what the internet was like at the beginning. And it was just sort of like cat videos and porn and the cool content that we like, with commerce and libraries and travel and stuff took a while to adopt. So I rather agree with the vice president's comment. I actually took computer programming from one of the AI fathers who, anyway, that's a different story. But to just, I wouldn't put the Democrats past using whatever capabilities there are, but just wanted to weigh in on a little bit of history in computing.
Well, you sound really smart in this field. Where do you think AI is going? And how much more is it? How much more can you have at your fingertips than a search engine that answers any question you have?
Well, I don't know. I mean, think about, our expectations for the internet was we would never use paper again, right?
Yeah.
We still use tons of paper. And so I think, I don't know. I just know that it's going to be big, and there's going to be a downside. There's going to be an upside. And, I'm just delighted with the summaries you get from a Zoom call, which are amazingly good. I didn't know voice recognition was that good. So I don't know, but I bet the vice president knows a little bit more than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating. And all that. I just wanted to pitch that in.
Great call, Deb. You've made me just a little bit smarter today. I appreciate your thorough knowledge on this topic. Thank you so much.
Okay, you bet. Bye.
Take care. That's good stuff right there. Appreciate her. Here is John in Topeka. What's up, John? How things in T-Town today?
Oh, things are going great. I'm sitting here driving north of Kansas City, having fun here. So
nice.
But the Democrats, first of all, you have to have morals and values, and they do not have that. And you know as well as I do, whoever hits it first gets it first. And the fallout afterwards doesn't matter, because they lie and then they believe their lies and they don't care about their lies. But if the Republicans or conservatives put something out there that's false, I'm going to look to that conservative and say, do I really want to support him? And his support will fall off if he throws out something that is an obvious lie, trying to counteract what the Democrats are doing. So we're at a loss, because they can throw out lies and they'll still be fully supported by all the liberals that are buy into it. But Republicans will fall behind, because if they try to counteract it by using lies.
Well,
and the only thing we have is the truth. We can fall back on the truth all we want, but when they manipulate the truth the way they want to, and it's like, well, here's the facts, here's the truth, they manipulate it and with lies. You throw out enough lies, the
right?
Truth,
well,
it sounds rude.
These are the people that invented the term "your truth," and it's real. It's like, speak your truth, like not the truth, what you think is true. So they can say whatever they want, and it's their truth. Like Nancy Pelosi says, she didn't turn down the National Guard on January 6th. Well, yes, in fact, she did. But her truth is that she didn't, even though she's on video saying she did. So this is what they do. And I think as a blanket, sort of philosophy with AI, I would think Republicans, we're talking strictly politics here, but it would apply to any business. Republicans would want to use AI to push an agenda or something they're for that they know the American people would like, and promote it and win off that. Democrats can never win the ideas with the American public. They can't. They would want to use AI to just push fake news, to lie to you, to convince you something that isn't real. I think AI is going to be really involved in politics. I do.
That movie, The Running Man, where Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they manipulated the video and showed him killing people, and then they showed him and they said, "Oh, here's the real video." Well, it will be so manipulated nowadays that if you're showing the real video, people will think, "Well, that's the fake video. The real one was that he killed everybody." No, wait a second, where's the truth and where's the stand? And when it does come out, getting people to believe the actual real truth versus continuing to gobble down the lies like Democrats know people will do because everybody loves something juicy.
Well, here's what's amazing. In advertising in America, there's truth in advertising laws. There are things that you can and can't say in advertising. And you can get sued if your ads for your product or service are not truthful. You can get in real trouble and even go to jail. There are laws. They do not apply to politics. These people can say anything they want and make up anything they want. And maybe a news reporter comes along and fact checks it and they give them 4 Pinocchios or something like that at the Washington Post. But that's not the same as stopping the lying. I mean, these people will not write and enact legislation to curb themselves, and they absolutely should. There's no question in my mind there should be all kinds of things in place in our political arena to make sure that it's fair and accurate. But we don't have anything like that. The only thing we have is finance laws, campaign finance laws. But they can still say anything they want and make up whatever they want about any candidate and throw it out there. And one party does that a lot more than the other.
That's exactly the truth. And the fact is that, no matter how many 4 Pinocchios they get, nobody looks at the 4 Pinocchios. They look at the first headline that comes out that Trump was a fascist dictator.
Right.
And it's like, what? And they don't even give a good explanation. They just say fascist dictator.
Right.
And then nobody reads the body of it to find out, that was absolutely abjectly just false on everything.
Yeah. Nope. You've nailed it. Thank you, John. Appreciate you listening today.
Good day.
Thank you, sir. And, it's all got a domino or snowball effect. We know how this works. We know about the fake Russia. You leak something, there's a source, the source goes anonymously to a media outlet, and it's fake news dropped as news, unsourced to a media outlet. One reports it, and then the dominoes topple. Then every liberal outlet gobbles it up, and it becomes fact. Something that is not true becomes fact. Well, that will be really easy to do, you would think, with AI compared to actually having a source that leaks something to somebody. I think it's the future of politics, and I don't know enough about AI to give any sort of informed opinion of what it's going to mean to all of us. I'm just not that guy, but I'm betting right now that somehow AI is used by the Democrats in a really nasty, nefarious way to push things that are flat not true and be very convincing in doing it. It will look real. It will sound real. You'll have every reason to believe it's true. And I think people are going to gobble that stuff up. And that scares me a little bit. I do think that's in the future. All right, when Uncanceled continues, the Democrats are making one big mistake in one state, primarying a senator on their side. It's coming, and it's going to be bad for them. Next on Uncanceled.
From Smithville to Shawnee Mission, it's Kevin Kietzman. Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Awkward bobblehead alert. Oh, Mark brought this one on. He had to show me during the break that the Kansas City Current are going to have a bobblehead day on November 2nd. Oh, yes, they are. It's going to be Temwa Chawinga, the leading goal scorer in the Women's Professional Soccer League. She's getting her own bobblehead, correct?
That's right. Looks good.
And there are no breasts on the bobblehead either, right?
I mean, it was kind of hard to tell, but we'll see.
Temwa Chawinga. I say it tongue in cheek. I can't. Look. She's the leading goal.
They made her sister prove it.
What's this?
They made her sister prove it.
They made her sister prove it. Her sister plays overseas, and apparently 4 years ago in a match, they're like, come over here and show us that you're a girl.
And she was.
Apparently, they let her keep playing. So that's the best argument yet, that the best player in women's professional soccer is not a man. But when you watch her play, I mean, she cuts her hair like she clearly wants to look like a man, which is fine, I guess. You just can't watch this soccer player and not think that's a male. You look at the shoulders, the arms, the muscle, the face, the bone structure, the Adam's apple, the haircut, the fastest player by far. Nobody's talking about this anywhere in women's professional soccer, and I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't even be bringing it up.
I'm on the other side of this than you.
Of course you are. Yes, I got it. You're all in, and I get it. I don't know how you watch her play and don't think that's a man. I just don't know. I can't figure it out. Like, no sports bra, nothing. Nothing. I mean, you don't think I'm completely crazy, do you? You do, don't you?
I understand where you're coming from. I've seen her and her sister, and they're both very masculine. I'll say that.
Okay, so I did a podcast on this last week because I can get away with a lot of stuff there that I probably shouldn't talk about on radio. I took the photos of her and her sister up to my wife because I thought, well, here's the litmus test. This is who I got to ask. I showed her Temwa. I said, man or woman? She says, man. It was a photo of Temwa playing soccer. Oh, boy, I'm in trouble now. Am I just going to go ahead and do this? The shirt was tight. There's no bra. You could sort of see the man nipples. There's no other way to describe it. Through the shirt, which was kind of sweaty. And I showed this to Jessica, and she's like, man. And then I showed more pictures. And then I told the story of the sister, how the sister had to prove at a match one time, like, come over here and drop your pants and prove it. That happened, not in America, folks.
Yeah.
It was in an African country, I think. And so my wife came around and says, you know what? I just think that's a really manly looking woman. I said, great. So if Jessica says that, I'm going with her.
I would say she's been in the KC Current women's locker room for a couple seasons now, so I think we would have found out by now if it was.
I don't think we would have.
Really? Okay.
Why would the Current want anybody to know?
I don't know. Maybe they don't.
I mean, I assume they spent some money on this player. They went and got her out of Asia or somewhere. She was playing in Asia or China or something last year, right? Or 2 years ago?
She led the league last year in goals.
She leads the league this year.
And she didn't even play the whole season last year.
Right. Leads the league this year. MVP. Like, this team is setting records right and left with
Golden Boot.
The Golden Boot. No question. Tem was an absolute star. If everything checks out genetically, that is one amazing woman.
The Current haven't lost since May 2nd. They're on a streak right now.
It's a good thing she's not a swimmer.
Oh, yeah. You can prove it easier on that. Look at Leah.
Do you think Brittany Griner's a man or a woman?
Oh, I've gone back and forth on this one because I've seen. I initially, man, I'm going to get in trouble for this one now.
Sure you are.
Initially,
I'm dragging you down with me.
She was a woman, and then I saw a video of her at a pool at her house.
Exactly,
with
shirtless.
No shirt on.
Shirtless.
So I don't know what to think of
with
that.
men's swim trunks on, playing basketball in the pool with her friends, of which all the other women had tops on. Correct?
Yeah. That's what threw me off on that one.
Right. I don't know. Listen, if I owned a soccer team and I really wanted to win and I had the money and the wherewithal and I could find somebody to whatever past the, and I wouldn't put it past somebody in sports to do this because You can't put it past anybody because it's being normalized in our society that men can play women's sports. Is it not? They're attempting to normalize this. They're attempting to blur the lines between male and female. And I guess it doesn't bother me. The team's winning. People like their team. She's obviously very, very talented. I'm not going to sit here and tell you she's a man. I'll tell you she looks like a man.
Getting a bobblehead.
And she's got a bobblehead that's going to be really awkward sitting on your shelf.
I want to get one for the studio over here. I've got a couple of them up here.
I used to have a bunch of bobbleheads. Now, it was really cheesy and stupid, and it was kind of against my will and wishes. But about 20 years ago, they made a bobblehead of me at Sports Radio 810, handed them out to our clients at like a holiday party. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
That's creepy and weird. So I still have one because Jessica won't let me throw it away. If I get a Temwa bobblehead, I'll put it next to mine. That way mine only becomes the second weirdest bobblehead. And not the strangest one that I have. Have you seen this? We played yesterday to start the show a clip from John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, basically calling out the Democrats. Within 24 hours of the things that he said was, you got to stop calling people Hitler. Nobody's Hitler in this country. Don't do these things. We've got violence. Charlie Kirk got shot. Back off. My whole family was Republicans. You heard the clip. We played it yesterday. It was from the News Nation forum a couple of nights ago on Cuomo. Well, lo and behold, what do I see in my inbox today in the news file? They think they're going to primary him in Pennsylvania with a better Democrat. And I'm reading through this story. It hadn't really occurred to me, so this is somebody else's opinion and idea, but I agree with it wholeheartedly. What a terrible mistake they would be making if they did that in Pennsylvania. They're going to go find like the most liberal person they can find to win the primary against Fetterman, and it will probably work in the primary, and then lose the general election to a Republican. When Fetterman at least would have a chance of being reelected, would have a chance. I don't know. I don't know what his future is. Not an expert in Pennsylvania politics, but that sounds like a really bad idea. And we talk about this all the time in our party, like, oh, they got to get Mitt Romney out. We got to get this guy and that. Yes, true. True, you don't like the Republican, but the bad Republicans are still in agreement on about 80% of the things. Yes, they hold up votes that are very important to us. But the last thing you ever want to do, even if it's a rhino, is get them out for a conservative that's going to lose the election to a Democrat. That's even worse. So I feel like that's what's going to happen in Pennsylvania with Fetterman. But I don't remember a politician that changed as much in a short period of time as John Fetterman. Now, he had the stroke. He had the illness. He couldn't hardly form a sentence. And they elected him, which was bizarre to all of us, and we didn't like it. And the jokes abound everywhere that, well, the stroke made him smarter. He's learned some things, and he's become more conservative. That's probably true. But primarying this guy is, fool around and find out and see what happens. I don't think that'll be a good thing for them. Did you see we had a $198 billion surplus in September? Let's round it up to $200 billion. Well, that's that's a $2.4 trillion a year at that rate. Is my math right? A surplus? If we made $200 billion, if we took in $200 billion more in the Treasury in September than the government spent, what's October look like with the government closed? Holy smokes. How much money are we going to make? So with the $200 billion they brought in, they reduced the deficit. I've never heard this story. I don't ever remember this. The deficit, our national debt, was reduced in September by $41 billion. That's with a B. Now, that's a pimple on the butt of the deficit. That's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. But it didn't get bigger in September. We went the right way by $41 billion toward the deficit. The tariffs are working. It's hurting some businesses. There are people that are having to change the way they do things, and the China thing is still looming. Trump's going to meet with China in 2 weeks. I don't think he goes to South Korea to meet Xi to meet. I don't think that's I think the plan is we're going to agree to something by then, and they're going to have their big ceremony and handshaking and ribbon cutting, and life is good the next 3 years under the Trump presidency. Hey, listen, this is where we are with Trump. That's what we expect. We don't expect him to go there and have real meetings and talks that haven't been done in advance. I expect the groundwork to be laid and they go there and finalize it or actually have the ceremony and announce it. That's what I expect. We've got to finish this off with China. This is taking too long. It's created too much uncertainty with companies, businesses, and everyday folks that are dependent on China. And there's a lot of people out there that we're dependent on things from China, trade with China. Unfortunately, we put ourselves in this spot. We're weaning ourselves off things like computer chips and whatnot, the really important things, maybe pharmaceuticals and things of that nature. But we got to get a permanent deal done. And I don't know why he'd go all the way to South Korea to meet Xi if there isn't a deal. I mean, you wouldn't even go there unless it was really close, right? Why would you take that? Typically, when Trump goes somewhere, he goes and does it. Now, the flip side of that was we thought that was going to happen with Putin in Alaska, and that was nothing but a show pony. And Trump has said it many times. He tells me one thing in person, and then he does the other. He's basically told the whole world Putin's a liar. And I don't know how that thing's going to end, but I sure want this to get wrapped up in China. And I think in a couple of weeks that could happen. I think we could get to it. If we get this thing wrapped up and this economy just goes into overdrive and we're bringing in all these tariffs, please don't start sending us checks. I know it sounds like a great idea to win elections and whatnot, to send money back to people. If there's people out there that really need it, let's help people that need it. Don't send every American a $2,000 check because finally we're lowering the deficit. Let's lower the deficit. Yeah, I think the excellent plan would be 75% of all tariffs go straight to principal reduction of the deficit. Not the interest, principal. Take 75% of that tariff money and just reduce that debt. If the United States did what the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri have done, they're fiscally in really good positions. States are doing it, not the liberal states, but conservative states are doing it. If the United States did that, it would be the greatest economy in the history of the world times 10. We wouldn't even know what would happen. We'd have so much money flying around the United States if we didn't have to service all that debt. Let's get on that. $200 billion profit our government made in September. That is awesome. And we actually lowered the debt by $41 billion. I can't wait to see what the October number is. It has to be better. All those paychecks are being held. Let's go, Scott Bessent. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to join us on Uncanceled. Next, me and Mark give you our pick of the week. We're making a comeback. We're 7-5 combined on the year. So that's winning. We need to go 2-0 this week, buddy, correct? We're going to do it.
Let's do it.
He's got his team. I've got mine. We'll tell you next.
From Lawrence to Leavenworth, it's Kevin Kietzman. Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
There's a New York magazine called The Cut, and they have a big story expose. They sent a reporter to Kansas City, apparently, to stay at the Lowe's Hotel and dine at 1587, which they are calling the Travis Kelce Steakhouse. It's like Mahomes is nobody anymore. I mean, Kelce's with Taylor, so he's like a meteoric rise of superstardom. And this woman writes, the headline of this story is, "My dinner at Travis Kelce's new restaurant cost more than my monthly electric bill." Hey, if I could get out of there with just my electric bill, I'd be happy, I think. Now, they probably pay a lot more for electricity in New York City than we do here. But I don't think I could get out of there for my electric bill. Do you think you could, Mark? Could you go take your wife and go there and the two of you dine for the electric bill? What month are we
Probably
talking
not.
about, first of all?
Not in the middle of summer.
No, not in the middle of summer. But that's... Anyway, it goes on to say, the summary of this story is, I don't know who they built this restaurant for. It's built for the billionaire class, and they just don't believe there's that many billionaires in Kansas City. And I think they're right.
I read that article, and that lady bought a full bottle of wine, which also is pretty expensive.
Okay, how much was the wine? $300
No,
or more?
it was higher than that.
Oh, boy. Well, the heck with their electric bill. It's more than her rent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Manhattan apartment. All right, we got some sports this weekend. College and pro football. KU and K-State are off. Missouri's playing Auburn. The Chiefs have the the Las Vegas Raiders in town at Arrowhead Stadium at noon on Sunday. And we have found something really odd, and that is Vanderbilt in the SEC is favored this week against LSU. There are all kinds of different stats out there about the last time Vanderbilt was a favorite, but all we know is this is really rare, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not favored very often in their conference. They're not favored very often at all against ranked opponents, let alone LSU, who they haven't been favored against in 77 years.
77 years since they were favored against LSU. They're a 2.5-point favorite. ESPN is reporting this is the first time in 45 years they've been favored. What are you seeing from ESPN Bet?
Yeah, it says that they have not been favored in the last 45 years against a ranked team until this week. Now, they started as a 1.5-point favorite. Now they're 2.5-point favorite. So it means people are liking Vandy this week, I guess.
Barstool has, right here on my X feed, says Vanderbilt hasn't been favored against an SEC opponent since 1978, but we've already disproven that, correct?
Yeah, they were favored against Tennessee, it looks like, in 2018.
Yeah. That's an interesting story. Vandy's got a good quarterback, and they're a fun team. That's nice. All right, let's give our absolute dead stone cold locks this week for our lovely listeners who can legally bet in Kansas and very soon legally bet in Missouri. If you'd like to wager your friend for a soda pop, that's fine too. We are 7-5 on the year. Mark Van Sickle, what is your dead lock of the week?
I'm picking TCU over Baylor this week. They're 2.5-point favorites at home. I know Baylor's coming off of a bye, TCU coming off of a loss, but I think TCU bounces back this week. It's a home game for TCU, and I just think they're the better, more well-rounded team.
All right, there's one big mistake that we commonly make in sports gambling, and that is recency bias. What did you last see? But I'm biting this hook all the way. I'm taking the bait, the hook, the sinker, the whole thing. The Giants were really good last week, and the Broncos were really bad. But the Broncos won 13-11. I'm going to take the Giants +7 at Denver. I don't think Denver has enough offense to beat anybody by 8 points, do they?
I'm with you on this one. I like what the Giants are doing. I don't know if they're going to win this game outright, but I think they're going to keep it within a touchdown.
A Broncos linebacker gave him bulletin board material, said we're just dismissing Jackson Dart. He says, he runs around in his chains and is improvising. Well, he's a little too excited to be in this league. And the Broncos player said, we've seen this all before. Wow. Was he talking about Mahomes?
Maybe.
I don't know what he was talking about there. Okay, how about late night at the Fog? That's tonight. I know you're a big KU fan. My wife's a big KU basketball fan. Has that kind of sort of run its course, not as cool as it used to be?
I think for the newer student, I think every student gets to experience it. So
right.
I think it's more for students.
But for you, wouldn't you say 15 years ago was a bigger deal for you than it is now?
Yeah, I'm not going to get on ESPN Plus and watch
right.
it.
Right, and it's not at late at night. It's at 6:30, right?
Yeah, it needs to be at midnight.
I read a thing, they're spending a lot of money on the football stadium in Lawrence. They've cut back the budget on late night. They used to bring in Snoop Dogg or somebody like that. It's dueling DJs tonight.
And DJs that probably nobody knows.
Well,
right?
they're good. They're good. That's great. Bucky's broke ground. We've heard John Anthony talking about that on a couple of his news updates earlier today. Will you be? I've got a buddy who travels all the time, and says absolutely not. He would never even consider stopping at a Buc-ee's because there's too many people. Well, when I stopped at Buc-ee's in Amarillo a couple months ago, there was a whole lot of people there, but it never felt crowded. I'm in on Buc-ee's. I like it. How about you, Mark?
I have never been to a Buc-ee's. I know you and John have been to Buc-ee's. I'm excited about Buc-ee's. I have to go with you guys to get the sandwich.
The sandwich is good. And I'm shouting out right now, I'm a huge Quick Trip fan. I've always said this. Mm-hmm. There was one in Arizona. They have automated machines now for iced tea. It's terrible.
At QT?
At QT. So I'll just be a Buc-ee's guy.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got, they're hiring like 200, 250 people full time. There's like every entrance has 8 cashiers.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening to KCMO.